Hey everybody, thank you for joining us today. This is the first of my Amplifying Melanated Voices in the Community series, and I am so excited to introduce Christa from Free Soil Arts Collective. So let's get right into it, Christa. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Christa. I'm a founder of Free Soil Arts Collective. We've been around since January 2019. And it really came out of a lack of platforms to really amplify performers of color, artists of color here in the Merrimack Valley.
Right.
I'm originally from Haverhill, Massachusetts, and studied theater growing up. And once I relocated back here to live, a lot of those opportunities to perform were in Boston. So after a few years of doing that, I really just had an idea that maybe if we built something here in Lowell, that there would be a chance that other people who felt like me would support it and join it. So it really was kind of one of those things, like if you build it, they will come. And I just kind of believed that it would be something that would work. And it's been going really well since.
Yeah, that's awesome. So obviously I've had the opportunity to go to a production that you did, was it last year? The end of last year? Yeah, wow. Time flies by. And it was Hair Tales, which was really empowering to watch. If you're a woman of color and you've ever struggled with your hair or being, made fun of because of your hair, no matter where you are, school, workplace, etc. It was such a great way to kind of see your own story in other people's words. So that was, it was such a great production, Christa. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with it and the thought process of that?
Sure. So one of the things Free Soil focuses on is really just storytelling. And instead of telling people what to do, really finding out what is the story that they want to tell and how. So for the first production, I knew I wanted it to be about Black hair, but I was like, who would bring these stories to life? How are we going to do this? It's kind of the first time, so we're trying stuff out. And I reached out to friends of mine in the community, some who were performers and some who weren't. And Maritza, Masada, Nashal, Kasaya, okay. And told them the idea. They said they were down. And the first part of it was really the interview process. So I came up with a series of prompts for the rehearsals, would put my phone on, record everything, and encourage them to be honest and open and not hold back their experiences. And it was really cathartic. Like a lot of us had experiences in the workplace that were really similar and negative. We had positive experiences. And kind of going through that was really cathartic, I think, for everybody. And once you finish the interview process, then it's listening to all the audio, everything that was recorded. And then I was going through and editing and transcribing it and making it a script. And we were really fortunate at the time to partner with the local Merrimack Repertory Theater and have the play there. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Like, I think oftentimes you're not really given the opportunity to think back on your experiences in an artistic way. And it was just an amazing opportunity, I think, for all of us to unpack some of the stuff that we had in common with having Black hair.
Right. Great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that you have been able to connect to your local community? I know that you wanted to create opportunities on a more local level, right? Because there were a lot of the opportunities were in Boston or much further away. So how, in the past year or so, how have you been able to connect?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just truly believe in the power of being nice to people and not being afraid to say what you want to do. So I really leaned into like friendships, former colleagues, like not afraid to ask for help, ask for direction. And Lowell, it was like just one of those special places where people will jump over hoops to help you and help you find connections. So once I kind of put it out in the universe about what Free Soil was going to become, we had so many things kind of thrown our way that was helping us grow. So even our fiscal sponsor, the Greater Lowell Community Foundation,
Right.
Really like just accessible and easy to tell them about what our goals were. And then through that partnership, able to learn about grant opportunities and how to raise money. And I'd also say social media has also been a really powerful tool, particularly during this time, particularly in due in part of people like you who are really spreading the word about local organizations that are doing great stuff. We've had people reach out from everywhere, just wanting to figure out how they can support us. So my advice to people is like not being afraid to say what you want, and to be kind, because you never know who you're going to meet ever.
I can agree with that.
Yes.
So obviously we know what's going on currently, current events. There's a lot of tension, but I feel like there's also a lot of coming together. There's communities rising up, people that we've never heard speak about racism before are speaking up a little louder. And while that's necessary, of course, Black and brown men and women have been speaking about this for a long time. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on kind of everything as a whole, but all this speaking up that's happening right now?
I think it's a lot. It's really it's overwhelming, and it's just a lot to process as a Black woman, as an American, as somebody who does the work that I do. It's just crazy to think about, because it's weird. I feel like what's being magnified right now, of course, has been happening. Racism, as we know, is not new. But I will say, seeing people across the world who are protesting, who are speaking out, I really think that the pandemic, we were all forced to stay at home. Everyone's working at home. The streets are wide open. And for some people, that is what it took for them to be like, well, I think I'm gonna start learning about racism. I think I'm gonna start unpacking my privilege, all of that stuff. Like, I joke about it with my friends. Like, it took a global pandemic when you couldn't go outside for you to be like, racism. Like, I sometimes think that. But I think regardless of how it came about, there are conversations that are happening now that I don't know if we would have had otherwise. I think stuff is happening on such a global scale right now that we really need to take advantage of it. Whatever that means. I am not an advocate for the onus being on Black people to educate others. I'm not a fan of feeling like we have to stifle our feelings, our thoughts, our views. I think this is the time to be open and honest in the workplace, with your friend groups. Like, you need to not be afraid to speak your truth. And this is something that I think needs to remain throughout time. And I think that's what we need to learn. And even myself, not every Black person's experience is the same. But for me, I really think I had held myself back for a very long time and wasn't honest, held back a lot, didn't want to be seen as difficult, and now I'm like, hey, I'm gonna speak my mind, I'm gonna speak my truth. And if you don't agree, that's fine. It's a beautiful thing. We don't have to agree. Exactly. But you know, these are my truths. And I think a lot of Black people are now being amplified. Like, you probably know that campaign on Instagram, Share the Mic Now. They have white women who are literally saying, oh my gosh, you're a Black influencer. Hop on my Instagram today. Like, talk to my audience. I think it's beautiful. So there's like negative aspects. Obviously, it's heavy, it's overwhelming. I've been going through a range of emotions every day. But there are some positive things and needed things, I think, that are coming out of it too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it is a lot to unpack. when you're trying to take care of yourself in the midst of it, trying to understand what it means for you, but also trying to understand what it means for your community at large and for the world, because it's one thing to see people doing it right now, right? And one thing that I've been trying to say over the last several weeks is that it's not just a one day or a 1 week thing, it's an always thing. So while it may seem trendy or whatever right now, this is something that's real life for Black men and women who deal with this kind of racism on a daily basis, whether it's microaggressions in the workplace, whether it's being told that you don't have good hair, whether it's being told that, you know, you don't matter in the influencer world. You know, something that I have always struggled with in my part of the world is that influencers of color are not given the same amount of money, number one, and the same amount of opportunities. And you know just as well as I do that there are plenty of amazing influencers of color in our area specifically. And you won't see them, or previous to this, I feel like now, like, it's everywhere, right? Which is good, but previous to this, you didn't see them in all those big magazine publications about the best influencers or whatever it might be. And I think that's something that people also need to recognize is if you see brands that you used to associate with, businesses you used to associate with, whatever it might be, and they're being silent, they're still practicing the same things that they've been practicing, then it's time for reevaluation. So, and have these larger conversations. It's uncomfortable, no matter which way you look at it, because these could be things that we've just done on a normal day-to-day basis. And how would we know unless these kinds of conversations are coming out? So, you know, I really feel it's important that in doing a series like this is making sure that your voices are heard. And I hope that, and I know that your work is so instrumental in Lowell, because there are plenty of artists and actors and actresses that are in this area who need their voices amplified. And I think like something like Free Soil Arts Collective is exactly what they need. So I went off on a tangent, but
I love a tangent.
So overall, what's your long-term vision for Free Soil?
So it's been really cool because I think because we are so new, we're doing a lot of trying and seeing what sticks, what doesn't stick. So some things that we've come out of now that I really see us leaning into more long-term is our school programs. So we introduce young people, lots of schools in the area that don't have theater programs at all. So we come in and fill that gap and expose young people to all parts of performing, like improv and poetry and so much. And then after they learn those things, they can apply them to creating their own original show. So we did that with the Collegiate Charter School of Lowell in the month of February for Black History Month. And the kids came up with the idea, the script, the characters, the costumes, and to see how much they changed over the course of the 6 months, and to see them perform like with gusto at the end and like unashamed. It's like doing more of that, really building out our education programs and doing more original shows. I think for me personally, when it comes to theater and storytelling, telling things that are often underexplored in the theater space, themes and ideas. And we have an upcoming partnership with a nonprofit called Thrive, where they work with individuals who are formerly incarcerated. And we're using storytelling as a tool for them to share their stories in front of others. And being able to do more of that type of work is really what I see us doing long term. Just taking over, man. Taking over. Yes.
I love the school program. I must have missed that
Yes.
somewhere along the way, but
That's okay. It's a good time.
That's really so great. I think it's so important to instill that at a young age, that creativity and that imagination.
Yeah. And I will add too, for Lowell Public Schools, we're doing a virtual theater program in July, and it'll be new terrain.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to kind of end on what Free Soil Arts Collective means. So how you picked the name, and yeah, I mean, I know you told me this before, and I want you to kind of tell people what it's about.
Sure. So Free Soil is an homage to the Free Soil Party. So here in Lowell in the 1800s, there was a fugitive slave called Nathaniel Booth. And this group of people advocated for his life and for his safety. And their slogan was free soil, free labor, free man. So those who work the soil deserve to be free. And it's our belief that those who come from these underrepresented groups have the right to tell their own stories. So that's what it's all about, whether you're a young person, whether you're somebody who is formerly incarcerated, whether you're someone who's gone through trauma, you have the right to tell your story any way you want. And we just want to give people the tools to make that happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I've heard it before, and hearing it again was just so great.
Oh.
Well, Christa, thank you for joining me today. I hope to continue seeing your work for many years to come.
Yes.
And I love what you're doing. You know you have my full support always. And I'll be sharing this on all social media channels. And I hope that everyone gets to see how wonderful you are.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. I appreciate you doing what you're doing because it's needed. And thank you.
All right. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.